Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about why working hard is not enough in ACL rehab. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to work hard and smart with a plan that will really progress your ACL rehab to another level. Hi, my name is Josh. I've been a performance physical therapist for nearly a decade. In this time, I've had the pleasure of helping over 80 ACLers come back from injury all the way back to their sport and activities with confidence. Let's dive into the video. All right, so let's dive in. So first, let's take a look at this picture here, right? This hopefully is not you, but unfortunately it is like a lot of the people that I do talk to, and it's people that are doing everything that they can in ACL rehab, right? Working hard, right? So this is someone who's working hard, right? Every day, maybe 3 times a day, icing their knee, doing strength training, thinking that they're doing all the right things. While there's nothing wrong with working hard, well, in fact, you need to work hard to complete this ACL rehab. We need to work hard with a plan. And so what I mean by that is, I got this image for you so that you can understand it better. Just by working hard like this, it's not going to be enough to get you back to your confidence or return to sport, right? Because we need to understand that ACL rehab works in phases. It works in stages. You can't just randomly work hard and expect you to be playing a sport and confident moving in the directions that you want to, right? So I broke this down very simple for you guys. So this picture is pretty funny, right? Like you can see how you've probably done the walking stages by now, right? You've probably normalized your gait. And if you are going through this phase, keep going, right? Because this is the foundation of the later stages that you see up top here, right? So we start at the very bottom with the walking gait. It's going to be normalized, right? We want to make sure that all the bricks, so if you think of these things as bricks, right? You want the foundation to be solid, because then you can stack on top of what's next. Right, second stage is going to be, let me use a different color here so you can see better. The second stage is going to be balance and control, right? And then maybe you've got the single leg strength, and then you move on to agility, change of directions. We got plyometrics as well, right? That's usually in the later stages. So the point here is stacking solid foundations is going to be key if you want to move on to the next phase and eventually graduate from this ACL rehab. So hopefully that makes sense. Here's the problem, right? Let me use green. The problem is people skip some stages, right? People skip the important stages of balance, control. So these two are probably most commonly missed. And what happens is people just get to that like 5 month, 6 month stage, and somebody told them, like their physio, their PT, or their doctor told them that they should be doing plyometrics at this point, just based on the timeline since your injury, since your surgery. And research has shown over and over again that that's not true, right? What matters more than time is actually how prepared you are to execute these tasks. Are you truly ready to take on plyometrics? Are you truly ready to jump and land, right? So we've got to make sure our foundations are solid, right? So let's go through this again, right? You can see this little human here ends up falling back down because there was missing gaps in the foundation stages. So we don't want that. We don't want that. So what we want instead, right? I'm gonna scroll to the next thing here, see if I can do that. All right, there you go. So I don't know if you guys have watched Avengers, right? I'm a big Avengers person. So in Avengers, the big boss is Thanos, right? So we have Thanos here. You can see Thanos is the final boss. That is going to be equivalent to the confidence to return to sport or your activity or your life, whatever it is that your goals are after this ACL rehab thing. But in order to get to Thanos, you do have to collect the other stones, right? You have to collect the blue stone, the green, the red, and the purple. I don't know the names though, sorry guys. But we have to start with the purple, which is at the bottom, right? So you can see here, quad controls. That's probably the first month, 2 months of your rehabilitation if you're post-surgery, right? Then we build stability and control. We collect that stone. Then we go to single leg strength, quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves, all the necessary things for you to execute so that you can stack onto the next stage. And then you get to the plyometrics. But we can't just skip them. We can't just skip stones and expect you to be confident to beat the final boss. So hopefully this gives you a visualization to understand that you have to collect all the different stages. You have to beat these different stages so that you can move on to the final and last stage, okay? So let's move on from this. And I just want to share a quick example of someone I was working with. Her name is Brooke, right? So we started working together probably just 2 months ago, 7 to 8 weeks ago, right? And she's already 7 or 8 months post-op at that point, when in reality, what she's showing functionally is probably at 3 or 4 months, right? So if she listened to her doctors and her PTs, they were all telling her you can jog, she can run, do agility work and all these things. But every time she tried to do that, She would feel like something was off, things were compensating. There were always hurdles that she was limping, she was feeling swelling the next day. So those are key signs that your body's trying to tell you that you're not ready to move on to that stage. So when we connected 6 weeks ago, or 7 weeks ago, I said, honestly, let's stop jogging altogether. Let's stop all the field work, all the agility stuff that you're doing because your body's truly not ready, right? So we basically scaled it back down to the earlier stages. So we went back down to balance and control and single leg strength, what you see here, right? Because she was already in the agility and change of directions and the plyometric stages, but she wasn't ready. That's all we did. So 6 weeks, all we did was really hone in on single leg strength, control, and stability. And we're now 6 weeks later, and you can see from this message, she shared a nice message here saying that it only took 6 weeks to see progress with me than she has with 6 months with other PTs, right? And she was sick for a week as well, apparently. So really 5 weeks. And this is a prime example of doing things right. You can work hard, but if you do things right and working hard at the same time, you can really execute fast, right? You got to have a plan because that plan is going to execute you from limping to running in 6 weeks, or taking that same exact approach and taking 6 months with it because there was no clear idea on what to do, right? So going back to the stages, always define yourself, define the end goal for you. So define your Thanos, right? Define what your Thanos is. Is that gonna be playing with your kids? Maybe hiking Mount Fuji, right? Who knows what your goal is, right? Or playing soccer or playing basketball. Define what that end goal is and break down the stages below that. Because if you don't master the foundational stages, then the later stages, you're just gonna end up falling back down like this human being here, right? We don't want that. And this is honestly 90% of people that I talk to feeling stuck and hopeless in ACL rehab, thinking that it's not possible for them to come back to their sport. But in reality, they just missed certain stages, they skipped stages in the beginning, they never truly mastered and collected the stones, right? And then they went straight to the final bus. And they're not ready. They're gonna get defeated. They're gonna have to go back down to the earlier stages and do it all over again, right? So it's better to do this the right way the first time because then you can just execute with clarity, moving forward, right? Minimize the setbacks and just keep going forward. So hopefully that makes sense. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you found it helpful, let me know and I'll shoot more videos just like this. Talk to you soon.